So I was going to throw this video out for my patrons and YouTube members only, but I thought it'd be unfair because there were so many of you that commented on the last video about the Darkroom session and how I could have made it better, etc, etc, and I really appreciate your comments. So I've thrown this one back out for everyone else to see that was interested in that last video. So this template here is about 8.5 inch square. And just bring it in slightly, just bring it over slightly, sorry, so it gives me a little chance to just compose underneath the enlarger, just make sure I get that tree in. So you can see I've got some cloud going on here, it's quite light. There's the rock there, the long stone, plenty of detail in the grass and the tree. So I just need to figure out where I'm going to go and try and make this print. Obviously this is going to be the most dominant part, is the rock, and I'll probably burn a little tiny bit down here. But I need to try and make sure that my blacks are black on this rock and try and, you know, crunch the whites a little tiny bit just to make it pop. So I'm just going to whack a 2.5 grade filter in the enlarger to start with, and the aperture is wide open at the moment, so I certainly don't want that to be wide open on enlargement, so I'm going to bring that down to f8. And I need to test, first of all I'm going to test for the highlights in the sky and see where that brings us to. This is the sky down At this point, this is where all my trouble started, because I didn't realise that my developer was pretty much on its way out. So all what you see here at the moment is me unknowingly aware that my developer was pretty much exhausted. Or shall I go? Actually, no, I'm going to go across the top, because the sky probably is probably graduated. So I'm going to go straight across the top. That'll give me an idea where to go on the sky. So let's do that. 2 seconds. 2, 4, 6. A little bit of the stone there on that one. 8, 10, and one more will be 12. So that's a 12-second test strip there. We'll throw that in the developer. So this is my first test strip. You can see I've totally underestimated the sky, how overexposed it is. I've got nothing coming through on a test strip. Just about here at 12 seconds, I can just start seeing some tone coming through. The rock looks all right. That was around about, what, 6 seconds. But I'm looking over this area where I was going longer. So this is like 2, 4, 6, 8, blah, blah, blah. This is about 12 seconds at the end. I'm just starting to get some tone here. So I'm going to throw a single test strip on the sky for 20 seconds and just see what I get. So I'm taking another test strip out of the box. I'm just going to cut it in half, so I've just got one strip like so. And I'm going to do that for 20 seconds. Now, of course, I could start using other filters, but at the moment, I just want to see what that 2.5 grade is going to give me. So there we go, 20 seconds is going to run along that top strip. It's also going to hit the top of the rock as well. So we'll soon see how that looks with 20 seconds too. So here's my second test strip right across the sky there. That's 20 seconds, whereas that was 12. You can see the sky starting to come through. I don't want to absolutely overkill it with the sky, although I could do, but then it's going to be tricky to try and dodge around that rock. So the rock is looking a bit black at 20 seconds, but the sky at 20 seconds is looking okay. So I'm just going to do one more overall print at 20 seconds, a 5x7 piece of paper on there, and just see what we get. So it's very fine grain, this Kodak Tmax from 2011. It's very fine grain, right, as you would expect from that sort of film. So I'm going to put a 5x7 strip of paper down, so that will start giving me more of an idea where I'm going on it. And we'll just clamp that down slightly. That'll also show me, by just covering the sides of the paper like so, it'll also show me the projected image against the white inertia of the paper. So let's do that now. So this is 5x7 for 20 seconds, just so I can see where I'm going with the rest of the print. Those small test strips are good, but really I need to see the whole lot at 20 seconds and see how it works for us. Now it's done. Let's develop that. So there's that 5x7 print. You can see I've got the sky detail back in compared to the inertia of the paper where I covered it, you see. That's the white of the paper. It's just too black on the rock. That 2.5 grade filter is not going to work on this print for me. You can see how dark the rock is and how dark the ground at the bottom is. And to try and dodge around this area without making any halos or any dodge marks, sometimes you can use that for effect, but I don't really want to go down that route. I'm going to need to try a different filter, so I'm going to go for a contrast 0 filter so I can build up my highlights. It will slowly build the blacks, and then I can probably work around the blacks with the contrast 5. So let's try that out now. So these are my test strips with the contrast 0, and I just needed to try and work on those highlights first before anything else. 18, 15, 12, 9 seconds is where I went. You can see that there, 9 seconds with the contrast 0 filter. So I'll put another 5x7 print paper down, sorry, and that's me 9 seconds. The rock is still too dark, but the sky is looking a lot better now. I've got more information in the sky. Maybe just a bit too much down here, but then as we get further down, you can see we've now lost all the detail down the bottom. It might look darker than it is on the video, but it's really muddy down here. I need to try and do something with this. So I'm happy with the 9 seconds. So what I'm going to try and do is at 9 seconds, contrast 0 filter 9 seconds, and then I'm going to try and dodge using my dodge tool, like so, down the rock and at the bottom here as well. Just try and do some dodging to try and hold back the light on the rock there, trying not to get any halo areas around here. If I can try and, I don't mind the outline being black, but if I can try and bring it in a bit more, we can try and hold the light back in these areas. Hopefully that might work. Then I can start concentrating with the contrast 5 to try and pull some of them blacks back. So this is 3 seconds at contrast 0, just looking at the rock and bringing the test strip all the way down towards the grass area. And although it's grey and flat, I know that I can build that back up with the contrast 5, but I still need to do a little tiny bit of dodging around here, otherwise that grass area is going to go black as soon as I put contrast 5 on it. It's going to increase those greys. I don't really want to do that. So now I'm in a bit of a pickle. 3 seconds contrast 0 has held the darkness back on that rock, plus the 6 seconds that I'll use on the sky. It'll start looking okay if I start dodging this rock area. I'm going to have a go with a larger piece of paper just so I can see where I'm going to go, and then I can write my details down on that larger piece of paper and see how we get on with some dodging. You can see all these little light parts here. I want them to pop, and I want these darker areas to go a bit darker. So let's try something. Okay, so we'll put a larger piece of paper in. Sometimes you feel like in a darkroom you're fighting a losing battle with a certain negative, but I know that it's scanned okay in Photoshop. I was able to bring it back out, so I'm quite confident I can do the same in the darkroom with my hands. And this enlarger here, so put our contrast 0 back in. Now we said 9 seconds. So the contrast 0 is in there now. That's going to project the whole image for 9 seconds, but for 6 of those seconds, I want to dodge, stop light hitting the bottom of the print and also the rock without making obvious signs in the background. So I'll have to use a bit of my hand and a bit of this here. So my hand's going to try and dodge, stop light hitting the grass and all them areas, and this little dodge tool's going to hopefully stop it hitting that rock. But I've got to be quite quick. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, and on. I can't bloody see. Okay, you might not have seen that, but I think I might have dodged it okay. Now I'm going to use the contrast 5 and just try and burn around the rock using a burn tool, which is a piece of card with a hole in it. So we'll start on the rock first. Just those areas that I know. Okay, come down 1. Just certain areas of it, just so we can get some detail popping. and then I'm just with my hand going to graduate the bottom like so. 1, 2, 3 to the bottom there. That's pretty much it. Let's see how that looks. Okay, so I'm not expecting this at all to be a final print. It's more of a workaround to see where I need to go with my calculations, and also with my dodging and burning as well. So I've used a contrast 0 for 9 seconds, and for 6 of those seconds I covered the rock and the bottom of the ground, but then I built that up using the contrast 5 filter. So it's okay. This is the one I've just this is the one I've just done. Contrast 0 on the whole. Blimey, my voice is croaking. Contrast 0 on the whole image for 9 seconds, but for 6 of those seconds I use my hand here to stop light getting to the bottom part, and then this dodge tool coming on the rock here as well. So in theory the rock and the grass got 3 seconds, and the sky got the 6 seconds on the contrast 0, got the 9 seconds, sorry, on the contrast 0 filter. And then I use my little burn tool with the contrast 5, and I just wade it across these areas here, trying to make them pop. But it's just where the contrast 0 has started to build up the highlights on the rocks, the contrast 5 then started to burn them back. So I'm pretty much at loggerheads, and then the bottom here with contrast 5 I just gradiented this part in at the bottom. But the sky's okay, it's just the rock and the grass just looks too muddy. I need to go back to the drawing board. So I decided at this point to start on a completely different negative, trying to get something out of the darkroom for my efforts. And this is what I ended up with. You can see it's very grey and very muddy. It's because the developer was exhausted. I then realised what was going on. Finally I got a result. After all this mucking about, trying to get some detail out of the bleeding print, suddenly realised, hang on a minute, is my developer alright? So I did a developer test. My developer was pretty much on its way out. So I've just made some fresh developer, and all of a sudden, my test strips have started to come back to life. I was beginning to doubt it all, and I kept looking at the negs thinking, but the negs look fine. There's the test strips with the new developer. Now, I've got some black and white going on, none of this muddy stuff. Oh, drives up the wall. So you can now see the tones built up. This was with the developer that was pretty much on its way out. It just took me a while to realise, figure it out. Changed the developer over, and now I'm starting to get some banging contrast that I need. A bit too dark, this one. So I'm going to crack on and try and make another one pretty much the same way. Contrast 5, I did that for 5 seconds, just dodging a little tiny bit around here. And then I burned in the sky using contrast 0. So it's just a bit dark down here and on here, so I'm going to have to be careful with that contrast 5. I could use, go back to 2.5, right back to where I started. Okay, so at last I think I've cracked it. This is the last print I'm going to make. I've been in there long enough. Put that down. Right, okay, paper's down. So we start off with the contrast 5 filter. I've tested this one out just for 4 seconds on that whole print. Off it goes. 4 seconds, job done. And then we switch over to contrast 0. And I'm going to open the aperture up fully wide and just use my burn tool to burn in the sky. One side for 45 seconds and then the other side for 45 seconds. Quite a long time, but we're just trying to build that overexposed sky back up. It might be a little bit grainy, but I'd rather that than have no sky at all. Let's try it out. So 45 seconds on the clock. So I'm up nice and close, 1, and I'm just moving my burn hole up and down. Around the tip of the rock. We'll do the same on the other side. And hopefully that's going to burn that sky in for me. We'll get some tones in the sky, a little bit of grey, at least not white. Done, and we'll do the same on the other side. 45 seconds. I'm leaning back, guys, so you can see on the camera, so it's a bit fiddly sometimes in here. But I'm getting there. That's about right, and just on that bottom rock, the one that's laying on the floor, the Devil's Rock. Hopefully we've got that. Moment of truth coming out. Have we got sky? Have we got contrast? Just waiting for that sky to come. I've got lovely contrast and tones all around that grass and all around that rock. It's just that sky. Hoping that will build in. I don't think it's going to. Ah, I'm not giving up. I need to make this right. I'm not giving up. I can see the sky's not coming out. Ah, I'm not giving up. I'm not giving up. So by this time, I tried a couple more prints. I then tried to cut out a template and then try another print, but it still wasn't working. I was still getting that halo. But to be honest with you, after trying to make the video as well, don't forget I've got video cameras and lights inside the darkroom. I'm talking at the camera. I just got tired. I think I just got tired. So I've come back now with a completely fresh approach. Okay, so I think I've come out with a final print that I'm happy with. Not entirely happy, but it's the best I can do, and I'm certainly not going to carry on with it. I started off with a grade 0 test, and I put the test strip across there, and I did increments of 2 seconds, and I found out that with a grade 0 the sky looked best at 12 seconds. So then at 12 seconds I put a test strip across this way, coming down here, 12 seconds contrast 0, because then I wanted to see what the rock and the grass would look like at 12 seconds with contrast 0. But you can see it there. But that came out a little bit muddy, not exactly what I wanted. I need this areas to pop more than the sky. So then I went off and did a split grade. I thought, okay, what does contrast 5 and contrast 0 do at 6 seconds each? So I put a test strip right across here. You can see it there. That's the actual test strip I used. Right across here. And the rock looked great with a split of 6 seconds 0, 6 seconds grade 5, so I thought that's cool, but of course I've now lost detail in my sky because that needs another 6 seconds. So I started doing tests for the ground with just a contrast 5 filter. There it is there, the test strip, and I figured out that 8 seconds looked great on that. And I did another test on the rock with grade 5 filter, and that again was 8 seconds, looked great on that as well. So in the end I projected the whole image for 6 seconds with grade 0, and during a couple of those seconds I just dodged a little tiny bit of the ground. Then I put contrast 5 filter in, did another 6 seconds, and this time dodged again a little tiny bit on the ground. So the sky and the rock got 0 and 5 for 6 seconds each, and they look great. Apart from the sky, I still needed to build up the sky. Well, I'm quite lucky because I've got a double jointed thumb. You see, watch, bosh, there it goes. So what I did then was, you see my thumb, look, double jointed. I can flip it. So then what I did is just up as far as I could go, I flipped my thumb over and made this kind of shape. You can see the shape there, and trying to build into that rock for one side. That was for 12 seconds, and then I did the same again this side for another 12 seconds. See, my thumb goes again, look, flip, 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 there it goes. And just on that side there, and burned that in, and then afterwards just burned in the top area here of the sky. So I'll do one more print and show you guys what I mean. So I've got contrast 0 filter in there at the moment. That's going to go off for 6 seconds. I just need to cover the bottom, about that much. Contrast 5 filter goes in, same again, 6 seconds. Just need to do the same again with the bottom. 1, 2, 3, off. And then that freaky thing with my thumb, with the contrast 0, 12 seconds each side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Just coming in on the rock slightly, and the same again on the other side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and then just a little tiny bit at the top, blending into the corner. So I'm literally purposely hitting the top of the rock and coming down slightly, like so. And then off. See what that looks like. And it goes, and this time is Ilford multi-grade paper that I'm using. Last time was Kent Mill, I ran out of that stuff. And this is fresh developer, even fresh from the other day. I threw that other stuff away, that I was working on. So this is all freshly made just for this session. So I've got nice deep tones in the rocks, hasn't gone so dark at the bottom, and haven't got so much of a halo as what I had last time. So we'll let that go for a little bit longer, get those blacks really working, stop and fix and have a look. And there we have it, we've got a pretty much similar result as last time. The haloing is there very slightly, but it's nowhere near as bad as it was the other day when I was tired in the darkroom. This time I've come back with a fresh head and tried my hardest to get those clouds blended in around that rock. Pretty tricky to do in the darkroom, but you know, certainly it boosts your experience up a little bit. And you know, I'm glad that I came back to this and started to work on it again. You see the cloud coming up behind the rock there, and this one's coming behind the rock. So a little very slightly lighter around the edge, but nowhere near as obvious as it was the other day. And in fact, if you hadn't known what I was doing, you probably wouldn't even notice there was any sort of difference between the rock and the sky. And there it is, that's the final two prints that I made in the darkroom on the second session, where I a bit of a more fresh mind. I started off with fresh developer, a different paper as well. And I came out with two prints that I liked. Still very slight, I wouldn't say a halo effect, but it is just slightly brighter behind the rock, where you could see I was doing some of that dodging in the sky, burning, sorry, in the sky, trying to burn that sky through. But other than that, I'm not going to play around with this negative any more than I need to now. Anyway guys, this is what I come up with at the end, and this was my solution methods to that disaster the other day. So I hope you enjoyed the darkroom session. I know it's gone on a bit too long, and it's probably not up for people that haven't got darkrooms maybe, or are used to scanning. But for those that have got darkrooms, I hope you found this enjoyable, educational, and a good watch along as well. So I'll catch you next time.